Cineboys to Cinemen, episode 86.
86, yeah.
86.
We're pretty sure.
Pretty sure. Hope you're well, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. This week, Superman.
Yes.
James Gunn's sort of first steps into a kind of, well, cinematically speaking, a broad superhero mythology.
Yeah, he's the head of DC
Well, yeah, the head
Studios.
of it, I guess. Yeah.
But he's presumably going to be directing a lot of the projects as well.
Definitely overseeing a lot of it, isn't he?
Yeah.
Obviously, he was involved with Guardians, but the trajectory of that franchise was pretty well established before he came on board. So I guess what's different is that he's the helmsman, I should have said, I guess.
No, that's it. Yeah, he's sort of Kevin Feige adjacent, I guess. Interesting decision by DC.
I think a fairly logical one, given his track record within the genre.
Yeah, and with them as well. I mean, Suicide Squad didn't do well commercially, but critically it was a bit of a darling. And obviously, his track record more broadly, a phrase we love to use here, Cineboys to Cinnamon, with Guardians 1, 2, and 3. So yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about his career, talk about Superman, of course, the various iterations of the character. And of course, we'll talk a little bit about the DCU, where that's going. Is it the DCEU or now is it just the DCU?
It's the DCU,
So
I think, because the DCEU was the Snyder,
yeah.
as he liked to be called. No, the Snyder-helmed.
Okay,
thing.
right. I always get them mixed up. I don't know why.
I mean, it's so easy to, I think.
Yeah.
Is that what you were implying?
Yeah.
Fuck you hell.
No, it's fine. Yeah. It's strange old trajectory for them. One fraught with missteps and box office failure.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Questing the cinematic void.
Okay, so James Gunn. I guess a director in the eyes of many kind of superhero film fans is kind of like one of the last sort of, in terms of his output, I mean, the kind of one of the last sort of solid picks.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I think the Russos were those guys, obviously with their success with Captain America and obviously the last two Avengers films.
Yeah.
But their stock has dropped since their kind of sort of failed Netflix projects.
Three failed Netflix projects.
So much so that even Feige himself allegedly is being a sort of more present on set during the new Avengers. Yeah.
Really?
Or the upcoming Avengers films.
That'll go well.
Yes. Yeah. Can't see that. Yeah.
Producers presence on set. I mean, why don't they do that more universally? Mate. Okay, interesting. I mean, I don't have much faith in any of that now, anyway. Even though I quite liked Endgame. I don't know. I'm very content with leaving that part of my life behind me. The part of me that watched them.
Well, you were never keen on them.
I wasn't really. Anyway, no, it was quite easy for me to put them to one side. But then, I mean, say what you will about the kind of more middling reception of the DC's output, but I think they're more interesting. Like the films are sort of more interesting,
right?
As singular visions. Like what Patty Jenkins did with Wonder Woman, what Snyder tried to do with his sort of three, and succeeded in places, I think, especially with Man of Steel, which we'll talk about in a bit. And then, bringing Gunn on board, I think, for me, it seems like they were looking over at Marvel's camp and what they were kind of doing and thinking, okay, that's what the people want. That's kind of like that sort of joyful, colourful, comic panel style, and the grittiness, the Nolan grittiness is sort of not in vogue anymore. Let's hire this guy. And Suicide Squad, that's what you got. I mean, I quite liked it, but I've spoken to a few people, not just you, that have thought it was a bit naff. And a bit.
I think it is more just I find elements of Gunn's style inherently grating. I think you're right that he's got this very colourful style.
Yeah.
He tends to kind of, he has a very kind of, his style's very saccharine.
Yeah.
But certainly in terms of his approach to characterization and themes.
Okay. Yeah.
He has a real fondness for outsiders, and he likes to bang that drum obsessively.
Yes.
I've noticed,
Yeah,
particularly in Guardians and in Suicide Squad, and even arguably in Superman to an extent.
Yeah.
I think there is a kind of a marketable irreverence, and I think there was a kind of and that kind of comes from his Troma days.
Yeah. And his early films as well.
Yeah, like obviously, like Tromeo and Juliet and those kind of films. I mean, Troma as a company is something that I guess cut out its own space in the cinematic landscape for these kind of irreverent, quite dark, gallows humor kind of movies.
It's like Toxic Avenger.
Yeah, like very politically incorrect.
Yeah.
Very against the grain, both in terms of production and distribution.
Yeah.
So, and you can see that kind of sense of humour in Gunn's films. Of course, it's been toned down massively for, what are essentially family-friendly movies. But there's still that element in his work. And I don't mean that in the sense that it's like unleashed. It's just, it's become a regular segment, a regular part of his of his filmography.
Yeah.
I think his films are so immediately identifiable for those reasons.
Oh, completely, yeah. Sort of red and blue, and a lot of wacky, larger than life performances.
Yeah.
So, like you got like John Cena in. Well, he makes an appearance in Superman, actually.
Oh yeah.
He sort of reinvented himself as a very kind of safe pair of hands in terms of like Hollywood. Like you'd think he would go down the way that the sort of Rock did, I suppose, and position himself as a kind of a gritty action hero. But he's not. He's quite. I think he's
not prepared to go against type. I think The Rock has got a brand that he's keen to maintain with every film he chooses.
Yeah.
I think he's realised that people are becoming a bit bored of that, hence why he's
Smashing Machine.
I think that's his foray into independent cinema and to kind of seek legitimacy as an actor.
Yes.
I think just existing as a charisma machine for these kind of like very paint by numbers blockbuster films, it's not gonna, it's gonna keep the money coming in, but it's not, if you're wanting to test yourself as an actor, I think people like Cena, and I would argue the most successful of this three, Dave Bautista.
Oh, yeah.
He's been in kind of like different projects. He was obviously in Showgirls, Pamela Anderson, who was really good in it. It was in June.
Do you mean last Showgirls?
The last Showgirl.
Is that right? Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Dave Bautista's in Showgirls.
Yeah.
Paul Verhoeven was like an early spotter. Like this guy's got it.
Going somewhere. Yeah, sorry, the last Showgirl.
Sorry.
No. So, like, I think he's someone that is obviously he's done his fair share of naff action films, but
he's a bit of an A-lister. I mean, he was in Blade Runner 2049, wasn't he?
And he is in June, isn't he? Yeah, he is.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
I was just fucking hell getting it all confused.
But he's working with Villeneuve. He worked with Shyamalan as well.
Yeah.
Knock at the Cabin. He's doing some really interesting stuff.
He's making bold moves. He's breaking from the mold of what I think a lot of people who transition from wrestling to the world of acting tend to go the trajectory of what the Rock until very recently has done.
He's skipping it a bit. I think he's not relying on his muscle mass as much as Cena and The Rock, I think.
Yeah, okay.
He's sort of remained fairly... He's not slight. He's a big fella, really stacked. But he's not capitalising on that for his films. I mean, good casting by Gunn, I think, for Guardians.
Oh, of course,
Start.
Yeah.
You always forget he's Drax, don't you?
Yeah,
good makeup, I suppose, but and a good performance as well. I'll say in all three of them.
Yeah,
I think it's just interesting the Cena's approach to that kind of James Gunny saccharine-ness. I think, like you say, and like he does fit into that quite well. I think with the Suicide Squad, I think maybe that career turn for Gunn signified to DC, obviously the critical success of it and the potential box office success of it. And people still talk about it as well. They talk about it a lot more favourably than the David Ayer one. So that kind of signified their transition, I think, into the more kind of light-hearted.
Yeah, I do think
stuff.
that. I think thinking back to what my feelings were about the film, I felt that it was like Gunn fighting two kind of impulses.
Yeah.
The impulse of Gunn from like Slither
Yeah.
and Super
Yeah.
versus the Gunn of Guardians.
Yes.
And they were kind of pulling in opposition from one another.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think obviously, you don't become the head of DC by not going the way that you've said, by going into that kind of leaning more into that kind of very kind of saccharine, heart in your sleeve, brightly coloured, CGI drenched kind of filmmaking that Gunn tends to do.
Yeah. Okay.
Also with a kind of a soundtrack. He made like film soundtracks. Well, he brought them into the kind of mainstream, didn't he? Massively. Like,
yeah.
I can't think of
licensed music. Yeah.
Yeah, like I can't think of a soundtrack that I've seen in so many people's vinyl collections, like the first Guardians.
I know, isn't it? It's crazy. It's just it's just a compilation album as well.
Yeah, it's pretty strange to me that it's so. But I remember, like, when I went to see, did we see Guardians 2 together?
I saw it with Alfie.
Okay, it doesn't matter. But I remember there were like people there that were like dancing like in their seats to the music, like
really,
and it was people you wouldn't expect to sort of go and watch a kind of superhero film. So I think there's something in that too. There's something about Gunn's approach, as grating as I potentially find it. There's a lot of people. It has an appeal outside of just superhero fandom.
Yes,
and I think that's probably something that DC are hoping to tap into as well.
That's it. Yeah, it's funny. I remember really vividly out of all of the songs in the first two. Is Lakeshore Drive from the second one. I don't know why, because everyone remembers the songs from the first one a lot more, I think. But Lakeshore Drive is obviously, it's like a really obvious moniker for LSD. But it's just a great song, and I remember putting that on the way to Canterbury to see Lee, to help shoot a film with Lee. So that Guardians Volume 2, even though I haven't seen it since, I don't remember hating it, but I've heard people not being quite so hot on it recently. But yeah, that song always sticks in my in my memory. But anyway,
it's interesting about him. I think, and it kind of goes to what I'll probably end up saying quite a lot when we talk about Superman. But it's hard not to see his intentions as earnest.
Yeah,
I think even if I get kind of a bit like not worked up, that'd be ridiculous, but even I find it a bit kind of in his films, like I don't necessarily begrudge his attempt.
No,
I think he's a filmmaker that likes to grapple with big ideas, and I guess there's something in that, in the landscape of blockbuster film. We said this last week, but that you get the impression a lot of movies, they start out with a very clear thematic intention that gets watered down in an effort to facilitate the narrative architecture of a blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
Gunn has a bit more power to steer away from that.
Yeah.
To an extent. I mean, look, all of his films are still very snug. His Guardians films still fit very snugly into the the kind of narrative structure of a Marvel movie. And even Suicide Squad, you could argue, has a very set structure in itself that's just broadly in line with superhero genre.
Yeah.
But he does linger on things for better or for worse, in my view. But the fact he does them, I guess, is maybe part of the reason for that broader appeal.
Yeah, I think his ability to be quite earnest is sometimes quite successful. Like, I remember the first Guardian having quite a successful approach to emotion and emotions and that kind of thing, and tugging on your heartstrings. I mean, it's nothing new in blockbusters, but the way it was done didn't feel cheap.
No.
I remember it working in that film. And to a lesser extent in the second one, there's some sort of father-son stuff in that, which I thought was quite effective. It's more masked by the kind of Feige, grey VFX-iness than the first one, I think. And then the third one the third one has a stance, doesn't it? Like a kind of an animal cruelty stance.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen it.
It's not bad. I mean, it's like, if you didn't like the second one, it's nothing to. I didn't think it was as good as people were saying. Like, it made a lot of money, but anyway, it's. Yeah, I agree that his attempts to generate emotion are more successful than quite a lot of the other Marvel and DC films.
Yeah.
Their attempt to kind of provoke a sense of awe and kind of feeling of a connection with the characters is a lot better.
Yeah, I think that's what makes Gunn's appointment seem all the more, interesting, is that the universe that he's inheriting has had this, as you said, this kind of the lingering impact of Nolan over it. The Snyderverse was so grey, unrelentingly so.
Yeah.
And again, it was, thematically speaking, it was mature. As mature as, again, a film that wants to have the whole family sit down to enjoy it can be. But Snyder was obviously he was very keen to kind of like ground these superheroes in a kind of more so in a kind of superficial cinematic style than in theme and execution, I think.
Oh yeah, completely. I mean, that's his thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It works for some of his projects as well. Like Watchmen and
Watchmen is a well written film.
Yeah,
I mean the source material.
Source material is good. Yeah.
Revered for
even
obvious reasons, but
yeah, I think it's quite hard not to bump into it, even if you try really hard.
Yeah,
the source material is just political, like it just is. So even if you were pretty not aware of it and adapted it, it would still be there. So
yeah.
And I think the problem with his approach was he had, a bit like Gunn actually, is he had the legacy of Nolan and a string of very successful superhero films that were grounded in reality and had a talent pool of people that came from films like Memento and Heat and stuff like that. Like the influence of Heat is across that trilogy. More so the second one than anything else. So he had that to contend with, and then he had the crowd-pleasing angle to contend with, which came from the producers, and then he had his own style, which he could have holds dear, a lot of slow motion, a lot of sort of grayscale, moody, sort of almost Kubrickian tilts, people in hats and stuff. So there was three things at odds with each other with him, and I do worry that Gunn might have the same problem, dealing with a legacy, dealing with his vision, and dealing with the going forward vision. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? I think when you think about the kind of themes of Snyder's film in that attempt to ground this mythology in a sense of realism that was kind of, I guess, tangible. One of the central themes is something that I think DC Comics do try to do more broadly. I think that they might have more success than Marvel, perhaps, is that they do kind of focus on this idea of like, what would it be like if these heroes were actually here?
Oh, I see. Yeah.
How would the world react to them? And I remember you saying this in the context of Superman when we came out of the cinema, but it's almost like the media is the character.
Yeah.
And I even remember when I was reflecting on you saying that, Snyder saying that the media is this sort of omnipresent character that kind of plays a sizable role in the way in which people kind of view these godlike beings as they kind of have their own kind of battles in the skylines of these cities,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I just think that it's an interesting thing to do theoretically, but it's really hard to pull off. Particularly when you, like you say, you've got other ideas at play or a visual palette, and
or experience with Marvel, right? And their way of doing things seems to be largely unconcerned with humanity. It's mainly the characters and the superheroes. The jeopardy is derived largely from them being in peril, not from Mary Jane, but anymore. I think quite often that they're quite self-important in that they only care for themselves. They have family connections.
I remember Civil War sort of tried to kind of like very briefly wrestle with the kind of
humanities.
The kind of the impact of what these heroes are doing and the kind of way they just act in accordance with their own rules and laws, and
that's true.
But I mean, again, it's
my prevailing memory is just like
broadly speaking, I think you're right.
Yeah, there's complicated. Obviously, there's a lot more nuance to it, but thinking about it, I remember, especially the ones where they're all teaming up and they're all together.
Yeah,
like let New York crumble. It doesn't matter. But then, like Batman, and that is a kind of it's just sort of the criticism that quite a lot of people think they're clever of saying. It was like, what about the human cost? A lot of people died in those buildings, and Marvel could say, well, fuck you, it's a superhero film. It doesn't matter. Like, but then DC tried to interrogate that in
it backfired on them big time.
Yeah, it did. With Dawn of Justice, there's that opening scene with him going into the Batman being really annoyed about Metropolis. Is it Metropolis?
Yeah.
Crumbling, and he's like, and it's meant to be him at odds with Superman because and actually this film explores it a bit as well, like the idea that the damage has been done by the time he saved people. Marvel don't really care about that kind of thing.
No.
It's not really their wheelhouse, I guess.
It's lighter, isn't it?
Yeah, there's other stuff going on. There's magic. Basically, Marvel is all content with their world being magical, I think. And DC isn't. DC,
grit and blood and piss.
Yeah. And literally in Batman v Superman.
Yeah, but again, marketable.
Yeah,
grit and blood and piss.
Yeah.
Can't be too much of any of those things. Certainly not at the same time.
No.
You've still got to have gags and silliness and that's I think one of the reasons. I think there's a very well documented power struggle between Warner Brothers and DC.
Yeah,
when the ship started to sink, things it was very obvious that there wasn't really a clear view of where to take things.
Yeah, that's it.
And I think they always had Marvel success was almost. It didn't help them. I think they were sort of rushing to try and match it.
Yes, that's right.
And they just couldn't because they just hadn't quite nailed a sort of style that was different enough to justify its existence, but enjoyable enough for mass audiences. I know that Snyder has like a pretty hardcore cabal of enthusiasts who would probably cut their genitals off for him to see more of his films. But broadly speaking, his franchise was a failure.
I know, weird because they all, if you look at their box office return, they seem very successful, but they're not. It's funny, like the return that was needed on a lot of those films was astronomically high. It was like over $1 billion to break even.
Yeah.
So like Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, it made like $850 million, but the cost of it was just enormous, and it was a huge error, I think, on investing that amount of money on something which is meant to be grounded. Because how can you ground it if you have that money behind it? Like, it just isn't going to be. There are going to be stupid last-minute decisions that are going to be okayed because, we've got 250 mil for this. Like, it's fine. And now what's happening is Gunn's direction is maybe meant to veer it back towards, like, more in parallel with Marvel, but at the same time having its own little. Obviously, the characters are all going to be different. There's going to be no crossover, I don't think. And there's going to be a little sort of a shift more back towards what made them so successful, which worries me in a weird sense because Marvel aren't doing so well either. So how's that going to work in the consciousness of? I know this Superman's doing quite well. Mainly, I think because it's a reboot. It's meant to be an invigorating experience watching it. Like, thank you, something fresh, something new, but not that fresh and not that new.
Yeah. I think you're right. It's an interesting thing to be in, and you're right. Obviously, Marvel are having their struggles, but I think a lot of Marvel's struggles come from the fact that they obviously just concluded an arc with a lot of characters that were really beloved.
I know,
and they just haven't found any characters in the eyes of this kind of massive sort of fan base. Well, there's just no one that they can connect to on that level. So, I think a lot of their troubles come from that. And obviously, it does seem they're obviously having a wobble of their own in the sense that they can't quite seem to figure out the best way to go forward.
Yeah, I think the sort of Thunderbolts thing was an example of, even though you have the goodwill is still there. People are still saying, they can do it. The ability of them to generate a genuinely interesting superhero film is still there. The money, the return on that wasn't very good. It didn't put bums on seats. So like there's a kind of conflict going on, which was previously not a problem and now it is a problem. Which way do you go? Do you go the generic way, the kind of grey VFX-y sludge way, which seems to at least bring people, bring you back Downey Jr. and like all that kind of stuff? Do you go that direction, or do you hand it over to Chloe Zhao again? Like, what are they going to pick? What I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. We've gone a bit off topic because we were talking about Gunn, but I think his positioning as this, him being put in this position is interesting in that way, and just in the terms of the trajectory of this
because he's
behemoth.
worked across both, right?
Yeah.
And he goes back to what he said at the start of the discussion, that he is one of the few kind of helmsmen of the genre that is still viewed as such by this kind of the fans,
He does have a loyal fan base as well.
He does.
Doesn't he, Gunn?
People love his movies.
People love his obsession with eyes. There's a lot of eyes in.
I remember you saying that. Yeah,
I don't know what it is. Like, he just seems to love people getting stabbed in the eye with stuff. Like in the Suicide Squad, there's that big eye monster, the sort of starfish with a big eye. He just loves the jelly of eyes for some reason. And clearly, he's not alone.
No, that's it. That's the reason.
That is the only reason.
Yeah.
Exclusive. You heard it from us first.
There is something very childlike about it. I remember thinking about that. The monsters are always quite sort of...
You can squish them. It's like
squishy, textured. It contrasts so sharply with Snyder's like big, muscular, lizard-like...
thick skin.
Metal armour, gravelly voices.
Yeah. He loves... Snyder's obsessed with rigidity, I think, and hulking rigidity, and like human form can be that. And
Affleck's Batman was definitely that.
Even back to 300 as well, like that kind of like staunchness. Gunn's like the opposite. He loves things that sort of kind of
colourful and
wobble.
pudgy.
Yeah. Just from a visual point of view, anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's something about the earnestness of Man of Steel that I still quite like, even down to their use of. It's a Lord of the Rings soundtrack, I think, in the first trailer.
Oh, is it?
Loads of handheld. And again, that signifier. If it's handheld, it means it's independent. It had loads of that. And it had like a almost cinema verite sort of thing going on in that first trailer. It didn't live up to it, of course. But
I mean, that first trailer, I remember thinking, okay.
Yeah, same, man. Yeah, I was like...
because Superman, broadly speaking, obviously with the Christopher Reeves films, the first two, anyway... he's kind of like Spider-Man in the sense that he has this, and Batman, that he has this kind of legacy before all of this.
Yeah.
So there's a sense of credibility to these characters that you could argue in this world of kind of the expanded superhero mythologies has been damaged a bit.
Yeah.
But, ultimately the people will still fall back on the classics, right?
Oh, mate.
Because these characters... you could argue Batman, Spider-Man, Superman are the most famous.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman probably as well.
I think,
they're the ones that, in terms of iconography, are the biggest.
Yeah, it's those. Yeah, those three. Certainly.
I don't know.
No. That's
metric
it.
is,
the first superhero I ever remember was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Then it was probably Superman. Then it was probably Batman.
I guess the kind of films have changed that a little bit, because I know before Iron Man came out, he wasn't that popular. Well, he obviously was, but compared to like now, he's probably on the level playing field.
Yeah, that was largely down to Favreau's film and the sequels and the legacy that Downey Jr. left. I think. He's been because Iron Man. Yeah, he was like a lot of comic book enthusiasts gleefully tell you that Iron Man wasn't that popular.
Yeah,
they love it. They love how, and I love that because they like how the films shifted the narrative. Shifted the focus.
Yeah,
and it is interesting that it did that. But a lot of people that love comic books can't wait to tell you that. They get giddy, don't they? They're like, oh, Iron Man, actually. Yeah, it's quite funny.
But yeah, no, I think there's a legacy there that Superman has, and yeah, you're right. I think the Man of Steel trailer echoed that. I mean, and broadly, the first sort of half broadly is quite good.
Yeah, I like the first half.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't really dislike the film overall.
No,
broadly speaking, I'm not like I think Snyder's problems become more apparent the more films he makes.
Yeah, I think
in that franchise, I think the first one, Man of Steel.
Yeah, it has a big problem with it devolves. It kind of almost is at odds with its first half because it devolves into a very generic closing third act, I think. I think that's quite a common criticism of it. But I remember distinctly when he lands, there's a kind of scene when he lands next to a tank. and that was the point when it just didn't really recover. There was a militaristic side to it which invaded the film, and it never, for me, I remember thinking this has gone from an 8 to a 6 sort of thing.
Yeah, right.
Not again, like it's not terrible, like, but it's just generic and grey, and like there's no weight to anything. Something that Spider-Man 2 does really well, right up and through to the end, like, is that there feels like there's weight, and it feels like when a character gets punched, like you feel it, and it's like a physical act. Whereas Man of Steel starts off like that, and it just sort of stops being that, unfortunately.
Well, there's an inherent problem, I think, with CGI action sequences.
Yeah, it just
It's just
exciting, aren't they?
They're really not.
No.
I can't remember the last CGI action sequence I watched and thought that was really edge of my seat stuff.
Yeah.
It feels like you say. I think there's something very perfunctory about it. It's like, well, audiences like scope, like explosions, and like big battles, and you're not going to be able to do that, obviously, with practical effects.
No.
And again, these are superheroes, so I guess that's how it should be in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think, and a lot of these films just cannot resist that temptation to either be completely in servitude to that, or to kind of hold it back for as long as they can until like executives go no, and then they kick the door in, and it just all spills in, and before you know it, you've got a destroyed city and loads of like sort of artificial light and colour, and
you just like
explosions,
concrete dust everywhere. So you can do this thing. I've never done it because it's quite challenging, but it's like a CG takeover. So you get close up, and it's a real face, like Henry Cavill's real face, and then you pull back, and at a certain point, there's a transition to a computer generated digi double, and then as soon as they go up and punch or do anything like physical, the game has just been given away. It's like kind of rubber plasticine. Weirdly, it's less physical than like a sort of anime fight sequence, because at least the reality is different to begin with, I suppose.
Yeah.
I'm going off on one a little bit, but yeah.
No, I think you're right. It just completely undermines it. And in the case of Man of Steel, it really doesn't work. But I think the kind of nature of sort of Superman, the duality of Superman, obviously, is Clark Kent, the human, Superman, this godlike being, I think is obviously never really been bettered in the Reeves films.
Okay.
Christopher Reeves films. But, I think it's at least attempted a little bit in Man of Steel, and to mixed results. But they're broadly speaking, that kind of handheld, kind of like choppy thing kind of worked with it in a way. And it was very, very sort of a bit naff, a bit corny.
Yeah.
But I think Superman kind of needs to be a bit naff and a bit corny in its own way.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that really works in favour of Gunn's Superman, is that, he understands that that's kind of, in terms of the cinematic representation of him, certainly the most successful ones, it's kind of always been the point a little bit. Yeah. And there is a seriousness to him in that kind of almost kind of like biblical presentation of his character and the wrestling that he has with that kind of godlike power and the human being.
Yes, they explore that a lot in this.
Yeah. And obviously the kind of the morality of his actions, and who does he really represent? Who does he really stand for?
Yeah.
In terms of national ideology, because you sort of posed that question earlier.
I think there's a kind of there's a sort of argument I'm having with myself almost, is like, does Superman represent the world in terms of humanity, or does he represent America? Like, I never quite know, because the farm setting of his upbringing is sort of something that I would personally associate with sort of conservative America.
Right.
Only in its setting. Obviously, I'm not saying that all farmers in America are conservative. That's probably not true, but it's just like...
No, it is.
Keep that in. Even if you text me later saying take it out, I'm not.
No. Yeah. Keep that in. And maybe someone could email in.
Yeah, maybe.
And if you do provide satisfactory enough, you could win a trip to Butlins Minehead.
Oh, Minehead, the more expensive of the two
by Ben. Really good of you to offer.
Yeah. Hold on a minute. Check my Monzo a second. But let's start a new pot. Yeah. What was I saying? Yeah. I just think there's an idea that Superman is representing all of humankind in the sense that, and in this new one, it's about the choices he makes, right, and his upbringing, right, his nature versus nurture, isn't it? That classic sort of like, he comes from this place which has X idea, then he's been brought up by these people who have Y idea, and like they clash, and like what does he choose? But I think there is something about the way that he is that is very American. I don't know what it is.
I think Gunn's Superman pushes back against it more so than Snyder's Batman. Snyder's Superman does.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think about the Reeves Superman more.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't remember that one too well.
I think Reeves' Superman is a bit more wholesome in that sense. I think you're right. The character more broadly, I think is something that, and it is kind of explored a little bit.
Yeah.
I was saying to you, there's that comic book. I think, is it Grant Morrison? I mean, I haven't read comics for a long time, but when I went through my sort of comic book phase, there was one, I think it's Grant Morrison, Red Sun, where he, instead of landing in Kansas,
lands in Russia.
That's
cool. Yeah.
And that's a cool idea, because that kind of lends more sort of to what you're saying, in the sense that, you know, obviously he's going to be driven by the ideology of the country that raised him.
Yes.
The values that raised him.
Yeah.
And obviously there's as there is in most countries, you know, the vast majority, certainly Western countries, profess this kind of moral superiority.
Yeah.
But it's obviously, you know, and it's, you know, it's always encouraged in schools and by individuals, but the reality of it is very different. There's a incredible dissonance between the way countries view themselves and paint themselves and the reality of their actions.
Yeah.
So I think, and that's something in the context of Superman that is sort of explored in the comics occasionally.
Yeah. It's a great idea.
As a whipping boy for the United States and their foreign policy, you know.
Yeah.
And I think there's an element of that a little bit in Man of Steel, where it gets a bit choppy politically. But I don't know. I think it might be my reverence for Christopher Reeves that's preventing me from thinking about it fairly. But
maybe it's just not explored in those films. Like maybe it's simple enough not to worry about it. And obviously, 78 was a different time for the United States then as well, wasn't it? I just think it'd be a great thing to explore in future films. The idea that he thinks he's representing humanity, but actually he's representing a small sect of it. And there is the
most powerful country.
Yes, exactly. And there's other kind of ways of living, and there's other ways people have been brought up that might be at odds with his quite simplistic view on humanity. I think he's very sort of rigid in his like, save people. It's the kind of, there's like a moral conundrum that's quite easy for him to solve. Actually, and there's a great scene in this new one, I think probably the best scene actually, where he gets interviewed by Lois Lane, and she challenges that a little bit.
It's almost like a childlike purity, isn't it?
Completely
that he's maintained.
Yeah. He's like, I helped this amount of people save their lives, and that's it. That's all there is to it. Like there's no complications. There's no. These people's opinions don't even factor into it. Like it's that sort of stuff. Which, can continue exploring that. I think it's
interesting to mention that. I against my will today, I watched Black Adam.
Oh yeah,
which is kind of, I think it was one of like the last ones of the DCEU before they properly put the bullet in it.
Yeah,
and it's largely, you know, one of the dullest films that I've seen in a long time, but. It's basically a $260 million vanity project for The Rock, to be honest. But there is like a sort of very slight theme in it. I think his character comes from a place called Quandock or something, which is like...
Is that in Somerset? Sorry,
near Minehead.
Oh, yeah.
So you could visit the locations.
Go
if you get tired of the red jackets. No, like, I think it's like, obviously like parallel to like Egyptian culture, Middle Eastern culture.
Right, okay, yeah.
And sort of very briefly, the narrative is that Black Adam comes back and he's this anti-hero.
Yeah.
You know, so he has this very checkered morality. So when he's like fighting people that are putting those others at risk, he just kills them.
Okay.
So there's and they very much simplify that the same way Superman's moral compass is very simple.
Yeah.
So sort of Black Adam's, but it's an attempt to make him a grey, interesting character. But the Rock,
just borrowing it
doesn't-
from other.
Yeah, the Rock
series,
doesn't do it very well.
No, I don't.
But anyway, there's a bit in the film where like other superheroes are sent to try and take down Black Adam and contain him because there's concern that this kind of unfettered power is dangerous.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But in this particular Middle Eastern inspired city, he's revered.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah.
when these heroes land and try and fight him, like they're saying to these heroes, "Well, where have you been? You know, this city." Obviously, a very kind of cheap, over, and very quickly thrown away reference to like American imperialism in the Middle East.
Right. Yeah.
But like
Kuwait kind of.
Yeah. Like she kind of says, well, we've been invaded like 4 times, and not a single one of your heroes has come to save us.
Ah, okay.
And they're kind of like left a bit. They don't know how to answer her when she says that. So
yeah.
it was interesting to me that like such a throwaway naff film could have this brief sort of flicker of an idea.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what you're saying about that kind of the way in which the sort of heroes are positioned ideologically in terms of their national identity and how much that influences them and their actions and their sense of urgency. Like saving the world, broadly speaking, is in the West.
Yes.
Very rare is it in other countries. I mean, there's the scene, is it in South Africa with the Hulk in Avengers 2?
Maybe.
But, I mean, it doesn't end there.
Sounds maybe obligatory.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's been a while.
Move the
I can't
action away
remember
from the West, but then bring it back very quickly.
Yeah, it's just,
New York.
you can see... So I think your question has a lot more weight to it than...
Yeah,
think?
I don't know. I just come up with these questions.
Yeah. Pluck them out.
Yeah, no, it was in the back of my mind going in, and I'm glad they explored it a little bit, mainly in that interview scene, which I thought was excellent, and it got frittered away.
Yeah, the film doesn't commit to any of that complexity further down the line, really.
And it's a shame, really. But that little flicker in Black Adam's kind of interesting. I like the idea that at one point it was quite heavily, the screenplay was quite...
There must have been an
involved with
idea there about that, which
got
is
reduced
just
to a line.
well, just so interesting, given that, like I said, it is just a film for The Rock, like many of these blockbuster films are. And I think that's probably part of the reason why they shit-canned it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't know that, but I think he's quite a presence, isn't he? And he makes quite a lot of demands on
he's got-
studios. He's not as humble as he appears. That's what I would say.
I've heard, there's all sorts of weird stuff about his conduct and the way he approaches projects and how much say over the final cut he has. And I don't think he's really a creative. I think he's a good actor in part, and I think his brand is interesting, or was interesting, at least initially. I don't think he makes very good creative decisions that way.
I think he's very comfortable with these kinds of flat CGI-heavy films.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting that there was that brief sort of flicker of that in
Just
relation
made
to
it
your
in.
question.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe
cool.
it was worth it watching it.
Watch it for that one line.
Yeah.
How long is it?
Probably the film's 2 hours 14 minutes.
Okay,
I
so
was counting the minutes by the end.
30 seconds of that.
Pierce Brosnan's in it.
Is he?
Plays one of the sort of I guess the DC equivalent of Doctor Strange. Wears like
right.
a gold helmet.
There's a lot of equivalents,
cock.
isn't there? I don't get. Wow. 12A.
Yeah, I know. Bold move. That was another bold move.
Yeah.
Most of the budget went on his CGI. Just couldn't use a real one.
Yeah,
'cause
no.
there's people on 12.
Yes, that's right. Much like 28 years later.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah,
what.
had to use prosthetics.
Yeah. I can't see a real cock. You're going to see a massive fake one instead.
Yeah, that's fine. That's all above board.
Yeah.
Don't even worry
So is
about
Pierce
it.
Brosnan's CGI cock with a helmet on it.
Amazing. Maybe.
Yeah.
And I just. I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to go to Asda and get myself a copy of Black Adam. That film had a really naff tagline. I remember it was like, "The world needed a hero. It got Black Adam."
Yeah. That's like one of the really heavy-handed.
Okay.
And there's bits in the end where characters are like, they're like, there's like Hawk. Is it Hawkman?
Oh, okay.
Man-Hawk?
Man,
Owl?
half man, half hawk.
Chap? I don't know what the fuck his name is, but
Alman.
Alman. He sounds like an Alpen ripoff.
Yeah.
He has this kind of constant physical and philosophical duel with Black Adam's treatment of human life, even ones that like bad guys.
Right. Okay.
And there's even a line where it's like he's the hero we need because he's not a hero. He'll do things that you won't.
Right. Okay.
It's like, oh yeah, cool.
Yeah. That's not been explored in the past.
Yeah.
Morally,
And the Rock's just saying like,
do it. Yeah. Oh, God. Okay.
it's just
I'm going to give that one a miss. Actually, I'm not going to go to Asda after all. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know about that. I'd like them to explore it more. That's all I'm saying.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think if you go back to the Reeves films, they're more preconceived with the duality of that character and the kind of the moral, as we said, the moral impact.
Do they explore? I can't really remember. Do they explore the toll it takes on him being? Both?
I think it's more a focus on him. And Reeves is such a kind of, there's a quiet, goofy dignity to him that really sells it.
Yeah,
I mean, he's still the best Superman, I think. The new fella was actually quite good. I think the new fella is probably the closest to that Reeves style.
David Corenswet.
Yeah. I think he was actually the closest one to it.
Yeah.
I think Gunn's take on it, again, sort of I found grating, but I think in terms of a performance and a general kind of feel, it was the closest, I thought.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
My memory of the first two isn't as good as the third one, which I watched yesterday.
Let's hear about it.
It's Christopher Reeve's Superman, Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor's in it.
Didn't see. Yeah, it was weird.
Stir Crazy fame.
Yes, of course.
And all sorts of other films as well.
Blue Collar, which he's great in.
Yeah.
And weirdly, there's kind of like a thematic crossover to that because he plays this kind of unemployed guy who is being denied welfare, and he just on a whim takes this job as a computer programmer and becomes really good at it. So good at it, in fact, that he is hired by his boss, who's kind of this very stereotypical sort of hyper-capitalist madman.
Okay. Luther
adjacent. Yeah.
Okay,
but
yeah.
shitter.
Bargain bin Luther.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he basically convinces this guy convinces Pryor to use this kind of fledgling technology to take control of the world for this billionaire's gain.
Okay.
And in the midst of that, they use the computer to create a kryptonite substitute, which isn't wholly accurate. Instead of killing Superman, it changes his behavior.
Oh, okay.
So he goes from being a goody two shoes to like a bit of a bad boy. Okay. Sort of like the way the symbiote
Spider-Man 3. I was just thinking
3,
about yeah.
how great that was.
Oh yeah, successful all round.
But amongst that, Clark Kent for an editorial piece goes back to his hometown of Smallville,
right?
And he reconnects with an old flame. So there are elements that are really interesting, but the film is fucking jumbled and really weird. And I'm broadly there for the themes of the film about this kind of fledgling technology. There's all the computers are obviously very kind of clunky and analogous,
yeah. Mother from Alien.
Just like that. Yeah. And it's like the idea that this tech could have the power that it does now just seemed inconceivable, but there's enough anxiety there to justify the themes of the movie.
Okay.
And it's not necessarily anxious about the tech as much as it is about the billionaires that pioneer and own it. And by pioneer, I mean they pay smarter people to figure it out and they take all the credit.
Okay, yeah.
It's a strange film, and it culminates in Pryor convincing this billionaire to build a supercomputer that fights Superman in one of the most bizarrely flat climaxes of a Superman film I've ever seen. Really weird film.
Yeah. I actually weirdly would rather they explored the idea more of people positioning themselves as geniuses and hiring better, more clever, but less successful in terms of charisma people.
Yeah.
Like that actually does happen, right? That's weirdly prescient. I like that idea.
Like nepotism.
Yeah.
Superman versus nepotism or hyper-capitalism. Interesting ideas, but really bizarrely executed. It's a very strange film. There's a really cool bit in it where Superman fights the bad boy version of himself.
Oh, okay, interesting. Gets deployed
in
a
a scrap heap.
Really?
Yeah. So it's
a lot of throwing stuff at each other.
Clark Kent in his with his glasses, just wonderfully goofy
Yeah,
versus
yeah.
this kind of Superman with the gear on and like this kind of, sort of, what's it called?
Stubble.
Yeah, but it's shadow. 5
o'clock shadow.
5 o'clock shadow.
Oh, so that's why he's bad. He's bad.
Yeah,
He hasn't had time to shave.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And he
yeah.
drinks. And he
okay.
beds a woman.
Oh,
Naughty.
Superman.
Oh,
not
wedlock.
a flat climax there, I assume.
No.
No.
Cuts
Yeah.
before we see it, which is a shame. Cowardly, if you ask me.
Yeah, no. Director's cut. Fingers crossed. It's fun. Yeah, I've heard mixed things about 3, and obviously 4 is notably dreadful for its
Canon
production
Films.
values. Yeah, Canon Films, and the end of Canon Films, right?
Yeah, Golan and Globus's last kind of roll of the dice for credibility.
That's it. Yeah, Quest for Peace.
I think shot in Milton Keynes.
Yes, that's right.
Put Milton
yeah,
Keynes
yeah.
on the map.
Briefly. Yeah,
Yeah, the same way Butlins does for Minehead.
Minehead. Yeah, I mean, who would have heard of Minehead if it were not for Butlins?
Exactly. Who would have not heard of Milton Keynes if it wasn't for Golan and Globus?
Yeah, I mean, Skegness
Crystal-
has quite a nice beach, so it stood on its own 2 feet. Minehead has none.
It doesn't have that. No.
Oh, yeah, I'm quite curious about Superman 3 now. I quite like a weird film. Like
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. There is something taking it in another direction because obviously, one, it's Lex Luthor. 2, Lex Luthor's in it too, but it's obviously General Zod.
Yeah.
So like it's those 2 films obviously they're better movies,
Yeah.
but
They got stronger villains.
stronger villains
Yeah.
and the kind of storylines that feel more like the kind of superhero film you imagine. Whereas this one is like, what the fuck is this?
Okay.
It's like Superman slowly walking towards a supercomputer, going
Really?
getting shot at by these like lasers and stuff. It's like just so weird. It's funny actually. The Film Angles Alex Hunt gave it 4 stars on Letterboxd. And I know they've done a on the build up to the James
new
Gunn
one.
Superman. Yeah, they did a review of all 4,
Oh, cool. Okay.
which actually inspired me to do it, but I couldn't even do that. Just watched the 3rd one and thought that'll do.
Mate, no.
But he gave it 4 stars. So I'm intrigued to listen to his argument for it because my enjoyment, as you said, came from the fact that it's just a pure oddity.
Right.
Like it's a cinematic oddity.
Yeah.
In the sense that it's obviously like,
just jumbled mess.
a weird
right?
idea, a potentially really interesting idea, but it doesn't really suit,
Okay.
I don't think, what Superman is. But I'm kind of pleased that it exists.
I think that way about the Nightmare on Elm Street sequels. They're just odd. They're really odd.
Yeah.
But I like that they're there. I
But
think
there are like Dream
Warriors is great.
genuinely great.
But the others are like, and even Dream Warriors has moments of just like bizarreness, and it's allowed to because it's about dreams, right? But the first one is actually quite a grounded movie in a lot of ways, and with a clear philosophy and idea. And the sequels just don't know what to do with it.
No.
They're like, it's like,
It's just to keep the franchise going, isn't
Yeah,
it? Keep it
yeah.
existing.
it's just
Certainly in the case of the second one,
yeah,
which is basically an attempt to do the same again, but,
Yeah, it's like
but
a-
worse.
carbon copy.
Yeah.
5 years later, same house, same plot kind of thing. Different ending. But yeah, I just think that quite often, less so now, but in the past, the construction of a sequel, jumbling the ideas together, it just produced these oddities. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
Something quite refreshing about seeing those.
It is. You're right. It is a bizarre. It's just really odd. I really implore anyone listening or watching to and yourself to give it a go,
I shall. Yeah.
and then obviously go on to 4, which I actually haven't seen, given my love of Canon films
and Milton Keynes. of
and Milton
course.
Keynes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think I'm going to watch it.
Definitely, yeah.
Maybe we should watch it this weekend.
Oh, mate, I'd be keen to put it on.
Yeah,
on Saturday.
We're meeting
maybe.
up. We
Yeah.
hang out with each other on the weekends.
Oh, yeah,
This isn't just this.
No, we.
Loads of friends are coming and women.
Yeah, loads of women.
Yeah. To watch Superman 4: A Quest for Peace.
Yeah, Hannah, if you're listening, there's no women coming.
I think she probably would have known that.
yeah, there's no women going.
She sat around our conversations long enough to know that there are no women coming.
oh, nice.
As a way of getting into the Superman discussion,
Okay.
I want to start with one of the reasons why it is so in the conversation at the moment.
Okay. Yeah.
Dean Cain,
oh.
the Master Cain,
yes.
not of course any relation to Michael Caine,
No.
as far as we're aware.
We checked.
we double checked that on the
No
Wikipedia.
relation.
No relation.
Yeah, we went on myheritage.com. 25 quid.
Yeah, worth it though.
Totally
for
worth
this
it.
kind of cutting edge podcasting.
Yeah.
Also played Superman, of course, in the much beloved TV show
Yes.
with Terry Hatcher as
Okay.
Lois Lane. Is it Superman and Lois Lane? I think that's about what it might be called.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
You talked about this last week.
Yeah.
I don't remember it
I love the
very
Kane
well,
stuff.
but- Yeah.
Well, obviously he's not in much at the moment. I think the last thing I saw him in was a WWE sort of prison style film with The Big Show.
Okay.
I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So he's about.
He's paying off a lifestyle that at one point was enriching and easy for him to access.
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah.
And
okay.
in classic style of a kind of fading
Yeah.
presence has drifted onto the world of kind of right wing podcasting.
Right.
And is
Wing podcasting.
I think he has a podcast, but I'm still
Yeah.
basically saying that the new Superman is woke
Yes.
because of its very kind of overt reference to Superman's origin as an immigrant.
Yes. Okay.
Which is, I would argue, one of the kind of more prominent themes in the film. I think, broadly speaking, it's about kind of treating immigrants like humans,
Yes. Yeah.
and a world that is divided by fanatical tech bros
Yeah.
and corporate imperialism.
Yeah, and the way they talk to each other.
Yes.
And how they can
and the way they're
benefit
all in
each other.
bed. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Completely. Yeah.
So for those three reasons, and they're kind of the three primary reasons why people are attacking this movie as too woke.
Too woke, mate. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What are your thoughts on that?
I came out of the film and I had to ask you, what was woke about that? Because I didn't get it. I think I got the immigrant story. I always knew Superman was kind of, that was the foundation. That was nothing new. So that part
Yeah,
of it,
100%.
what are you on about? Like, you played that character.
Yeah.
So maybe you just...
I want to be clear, it's not just Dean Cain.
No, yeah, I'm
Not
sure
the same faces.
He
but,
he brought it up and probably
he's leading the
stoked the
cavalry
fire,
charge.
didn't
Because he
Yeah.
played Superman, I guess his voice is getting given a bit more... he's been
Exactly.
pushed to the forefront.
Of course, yeah. And he could be the poster boy for this
Yeah,
opinion.
for this gallant charge to righteousness.
I think it's admirable of a film of this size to not be afraid to talk about these kinds of things, especially in the age of obsession with invasion and obsession with containing and cherry picking ideas and philosophies and memories that your country was once amazing and it can be again kind of thing. Like, I think you need stories like this to remind you that it's not that simple. So fair play to Gunn for attempting to kind of talk about that kind of stuff in a film that's going to be seen by probably got quite a few billion people. It's one of those annoying, like, I think these kinds of people are like almost sifting through these films to find points of contention, and it's not actually,
Which is bizarre, isn't it?
yeah, it's not.
Given that there's always been a sort of a 360 culturally speaking, because for the longest time it was those same people that would criticize films for being too anti-establishment.
Yes, yeah.
And that, there's a real shift. It's strange how it's changed, and yet the argument is still very much the same about this kind of moral purity.
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
wokeness is a kind of stain on moral purity.
I think, it's strange. It's nothing new, this film. Like, there are other films which talk about this kind of stuff and have been for years.
Yeah.
A lot of those are much more overt in their opinion and much more kind of left-leaning. Like, mate, Dean Cain, watch Return to Seoul, you'll be baffled. My God, you'll be so angry. If you think that Superman has these sort of themes and ideas, like, you want to watch some independent films, like, so I don't know. I just think it's because I came out of the film thinking like it took a stance, but it wasn't. Like Star Wars is political, for example, right? And it's nothing. I don't think. And I think the woke thing is just another word that they're using for something which has actually always been around, and it that word in and of itself provokes people.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I don't know. Is he calling for a boycott, or is he?
I don't know what the end game is. I never really know what the end game is with that. I think the reason, I think what it might be, and this is part of the reason why I find the use of that word so intellectually unstimulating, is because all it seeks to do is just discredit something beyond the point of recourse. So there's no point even considering it as anything anymore because it's woke. So that it has no redeeming qualities. Nothing about it is worthwhile. Let's disregard it entirely and move on. You know, that's kind of what this kind of stance, to me anyway, seems like it's always been. To be against sort of quote unquote, to say something is woke in a critical way is to just disregard it entirely.
I think that word isn't used in a positive way anymore.
No,
maybe at one point, like 10 years ago, some people would have like seen it as a kind of badge of honor to be woke, but you're not going to label yourself as that now, because I think it's a word which
I think it's been co-opted by a certain side of the political spectrum.
Yeah, it's
and a side that
reductive.
seems to profit the most from the overuse of that terminology. I mean, Dean Cain's probably not got a lot on.
No.
So, but he calls Superman woke, and all of a sudden he's got subscribers. You know, a lot of people use this kind of terminology, I think, as a kind of self-marketing machine.
Yeah, okay.
You know, and they can, and what's integral to that is to frame themselves as married to an ideology that's kind of metaphorically akin to an aging, bedraggled boxer waiting for a knockout punch. When in reality, it's an incredibly popular belief system that's an incredibly lucrative position to take. You see many people who drift to that side of the political spectrum, adopt that kind of language and terminology, and suddenly they're everywhere, making loads of money. So it's not an unpopular belief system.
No.
As ridiculous as we might find it, it's very popular, very present. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be cautious about the way corporations utilize positive messages for financial gain. That's something to be aware of.
Yeah. Well, we talked about a Barbie.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not saying that there isn't, and I'm not saying that everything that is done with the best intentions achieves those goals and doesn't have potentially damaging ramifications for something. But to call something woke straight away is just, it's a tactic to completely dismiss a film that's central message, as you say, is married to one of the most, it's always been there. From the comics right to now. It's always been. Superman's an immigrant. He's wrestling with this kind of fledgling humanity. He's this godlike status, this being of extreme power, but he's also been grounded by these little doddering old puffins from Kansas, and they've given him that humanity that guides him. You know, So I mean, Gunn definitely leans into it, and I think Gunn's saccharine approach to theme and characterization, in the eyes of people that are already got that predisposition to think anything like this is woke, probably didn't help. And for me, was grating. But I don't obviously share that worldview that it makes it woke. But I just think it's really interesting and really weird argument to take. Very dismissive, and I think a very self-serving argument, because ultimately it keeps the kind of digital footfall going their way. Even people that disagree with them are still going to click on it, aren't they? And we're almost a part of it now.
Well, this is the thing is, what confuses me
in a very, very minute way.
Well, for now, no, I think it's just what I think it is also, and I'm not saying this is exclusive to people that use the term woke in a disparaging way, but a lot of people, I think, these people are sort of yearning for a better past that was actually never existed.
Right.
Like, and I said it before, the cherry picking memory thing. Like, why can't it be like it was before when everything was simpler? But
so look at Christopher Reeves. Like, he was.
Watch him again. It's full of that kind of stuff. And also,
love for all the people wanted to help humanity.
And also, you might have shot yourself in the foot, Dean Cain, because if you would shut your mouth about Superman, that's a weird way to say it, but maybe the interest in the brand would have been rejuvenated a bit more, and you would have received some more residual checks from the show that you were involved with.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know. That's kind of a weird way of looking at it, but like, I don't know. Yeah, it's
career
strange.
Advice.
I just think, like, you know,
we offer it all here.
Especially to Dean Cain. You've got to think about this. I don't know if he gets. Maybe he didn't get residual checks, and that's what he's actually bitter about.
Yeah. Maybe they're just like, yeah, I did get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. No, I just think it's I don't understand that, because the message wasn't shoved down your throat in any way, in a way that felt half-assed, or like it was a considered idea, and like Gunn, for all of his flaws, understands that, and it was one of the strengths of the film, actually. I thought the use of those themes, and you can feel Corin Sweat's Superman grappling with humanity versus the all being an all-powerful, almost god, in a way I think that was subtler than Snyder's version, but kind of overt enough to feel the weight of his decision making and his arc as well. He does have an arc in this, I think.
Yeah.
And there's a moment in the film where he allows other superheroes to take over as well, which I thought was a kind of a way of a kind of transition from him thinking he was the best and all powerful and unbeatable to actually he's kind of accepting, like, no, I am, as a human being, in quotation marks, like, I am flawed, right? That is the kind of message of this film, and I thought that was quite a good thing in the film. Not the humour though. Moving on to things I didn't like about it so much, but yeah,
I thought it was interesting, the film, given that it's like the first one of this. It begins is the tag, right? It begins. Interesting that there's no real effort or focus on world building.
No,
you're getting plonked straight in the midst of things. So the meta-humans have been around for a while now, and you just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So, and in a way, I kind of thought that's quite an interesting way to take it. But the ultimate problem is, and I think this speaks more broadly to my issues with the film, is that what it ends up doing is it has to kind of, okay, it's not going to do exhaustive world building and do 6 films with all these different characters. Fine.
Yeah.
But you're now going to have to try and balance all of those characters and ideas attached to those characters with the ideas that are with Superman, and all of these CGI set pieces, which inevitably you have to include in the film.
Yeah.
Not to mention the bang-up hilarious humour that you're famous for. And the heart, which, again, goes from earnest to grating for me on a sort of scale, depending on the scenes. I broadly agree with you that the interview scene was quite good. There are elements
scene in the film,
I
think,
elements of Corin Sweat's performance that actually like alleviate some of sort of Gunn's sort of soppier inclinations. But yeah, no, I just think there was a lot going on here. You've got Nicholas Hoult, who's sort of quite good fun as Lex Luthor, obviously riffing on people, like tech bros.
That's it.
People who are obviously, I think people are becoming increasingly concerned the amount of power that they hold and the way that they can sculpt the court of public opinion.
Yeah, and what they can get away with as well.
Yeah, and which is a huge theme in the film. Superman seems to sort of, and I remember you saying this, it's like they go from loving him to hating him seemingly within seconds.
Yeah, the media is very quick to, like, basically...
all of a sudden there's loads of news reports and like nighttime sort of news programs with respected kind of talking heads. They just sat in a room permanently waiting for the news to change.
I know, yeah, and they don't have their own... They're not willing to disagree with the news in front of them either. They're just like, well, I guess that's my opinion changed.
Yeah.
I fucking hate you, Superman, you fuck.
Yeah.
What? You're not like, think about them. Maybe just like, I don't know, scroll through a few
shagged
articles.
that squirrel. He shagged that squirrel.
Yeah. I hate him. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's weird coming from Gunn, who is, he has had his experience with cancellation and then subsequent...
So maybe that's a part of it.
Yeah,
maybe it feels so like flippant in his mind.
Yeah. He might just have quite an extreme view on how the media sculpts people, and he sees it as immediate. Which, in a way, I can kind of understand why. Like,
it feels immediate.
Median. Yeah,
that's it. Over. Right. See you later. It feels immediate
next week.
It feels immediate. I guess in the sense that the way that obviously you just interact with the internet, you might put your phone down and come back in a few hours' time. It's like, bloody hell.
Yeah.
But it's never as quick as the film depicts. I guess they have to do that because obviously there's a runtime.
There's a runtime and but yeah, I feel like there could have been an extra 3 minutes of screen time where there's a slight transition.
It's a naff plot device. And it's something that Snyder tried to do in his films, characterizing the media, and it's just always a bit of a. It's a hard sell.
Yeah,
it's a hard sell to make it work properly.
I think so. I think it was one of the weaker things. I liked what they did with Luthor in that he shoots someone. That cemented, because I always think there's a slight issue, I think, with villains. If you're really, really meant to hate them, then they have to do something which is on screen and quite like extreme and quite like the Joker or something. But then you kind of have these sort of semi kind of villain-esque characters who are just sort of bad, and they're not. You never see their actions or the results of their actions. It's almost just like, the way they're dressed, that means they're bad. That's it.
Yeah.
But this one, spoilers, he just shoots someone, and it's like, fuck, all right then. Yeah, no, I'm with, I'm wholeheartedly, obviously you're not meant to like Lex Luthor, but that's the bit where Gunn sort of, he just sort of pushes a button and it cements your kind of your hatred of him, and it actually makes elements of the ending quite satisfying when he's sort of reduced to a simpering mess at the end. I liked that about it. I just thought it was worth mentioning. What you said about the humour, man, that really let it down for me. That was one of the things where I thought, like, if that had been better, it would have really, really elevated it. But the jokes were just like, a lot of them were centered around this dog. And I don't have a dog, but I know people that do, and like there's a kind of like it plays to those people's that kind of like you're flitting between frustration and admiration for a creature kind of thing. There's that, like, a lot of the jokes are derived from that, and it's just a bit like cheap, I thought. Badly written, clearly written by committee sort of thing. Even though was it Gunn that wrote this on his own?
Yeah.
I mean, it was based on his dog, wasn't it? I guess maybe.
Yeah, Ozu.
Yeah, that's right. Cool name, to be fair. But yeah, I don't know. I thought that was overused. Did we talk about the false irony stuff? I mean, that kind of that was in it, as is the case with a lot of the Marvel films. Like, that to me signified they want to bring this back towards the Marvel-y, like. But people in the cinema were howling with laughter at points. I was like, maybe it's me. I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe we're just called miserable bastards.
Maybe. People were lapping it up. So I might be wrong. I thought it was worth mentioning the audience response for that. People seemed to thought it was funny.
Gunn does seem to make people laugh quite a lot.
Yeah.
There's that childish irreverence, I think, combined with that kind of, again, that marketable nastiness, like obviously it's so this Superman film is so sweet, it's like eating what's that donut company, Krispy Kremes? Yeah. I never saw the appeal. So I like donuts
drenched in icing.
It feels like if you want a dessert to feel like someone's just like taking a belt sander to your teeth, then that's it. It's like the equivalent of that in a film, just almost oppressively optimistic. And lovey-dovey. And look, I'll be the first to admit that thing kind of bothers me because, again, I'm the aforementioned misery. But I think Gunn's earnestness gets him off the hook to an extent, because I do think he genuinely believes in what he's writing. I don't think he's doing it because some guy
standing over his shoulder
going, no, include more. There's a few lines in this film, but the line of him saying that he's imperfect.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that is shit.
You didn't need that.
I was like, oh my God. Like, I mean, I know that, this obviously means a lot to you, mate, but fucking hell. Like, but then, it goes back to what we're saying about the goofy, silly side of Superman, but I just think there is a class to it with Reeves that the Reeves films that this doesn't have. Consistently enough. And I said earlier, Corrinswet is the closest thing to Reeves, and I still mean that.
He's good.
I just think the material around him doesn't do him any favors in putting him near enough to Reeves.
Yeah,
to make it kind of
solid and kind of something you can move forward with. Yeah. I think that it's funny because the interview scene had real stakes and tension in and of itself, and I think the characterization generated by that scene was really interesting, and then it was sort of let down by the rest of the film. Like Lois Lane in particular, her trajectory, although she gets given a lot to do and she's got agency and she's got her own sort of decision making, that's all good stuff. But I think the tone of her character started off as like a journalist and ended up just being like a kind of hapless sidekick almost.
Yeah,
and then right back down to like where they kiss, and there's the shot, right? This is the Krispy Kreme shot. And them spinning around.
Mom.
Yeah, bit much. I agree with you. It was a bit much, especially in that particular mode. Didn't need it. Like I got that they have chemistry. Like I got that their
chemistry was quite very apparent, and I liked that scene. It was almost as if that kind of childlike optimism of Superman was being picked and pulled apart.
Yeah, great stuff.
And it's like, and it spoke to the cynicism of her character. Like when she's, obviously she's, something in her life has happened that has made her question the legitimacy of everything, both professionally and personally.
Yeah.
And that is a tried and tested, reporter character trait, but she carried it well.
She did.
To see it sort of just dissipate in favour of kind of like blockbuster lovey-doveyness to kind of wrap everything in a neat little narrative bow. It was a shame.
It was a shame.
Particularly as there's probably going to be like 17 more of these. So you could maybe get to that point in like 4 or 5 films' time. You don't need to do that now,
I think, they should have carried across that cynicism to the rest of the film.
He doesn't.
No, yeah.
And in the time he does, he fucking goes back in time.
Oh, yeah.
And then in the other time, he fucking wipes her brain, wipes her memory.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Is that 2? He wipes her brain? Takes it out, just wipes it with a J cloth.
I do. I think that's the right bit. Yeah. That hippocampus just
collapses dead.
Just like the end of that Hannibal with Ray Liotta. Just there, just like... No, yeah. I didn't mind the Martha Kent stuff. I thought it was weird that his father he was positioned as a very emotional character, and then his wife was like almost disparaging of that. That was slightly odd. It was kind of like meant to be funny, and I didn't find that very funny.
No.
I thought she should have been equally as earnest, if anything, or maybe both of them should have pulled it back slightly. Like more secure in their way of thinking, considering they brought him up, and they're meant to be his kind of foundation of humanity. It was odd to me that they had that in there, but and then there's stuff with the dog had people howling. I can't get over that. I don't know why it was so funny. I'm not really that much of a dog person, to be honest, but like, did you?
It always seems like a pretty cheap. I think we've said about this before. Like, if you want people to feel strong emotions with very little effort, get an animal.
Yeah, that's it. Get
particularly a dog,
CG dog as well, so I don't have to have an animal on set as well. Get it to art.
And I know what you mean. It is naff.
Yeah,
it starts out. You think, okay, leave the dog leave the dog away now.
Yeah,
get rid of
enough. Yeah.
And
there's like Supergirl drunk jokes at the end, and it's her dog. It turns out as well. I was like, okay, that makes sense. This is kind of like, I don't know. There was a undercurrent of like pretty childish humor. I don't know. Superman's a superhero. It's going to be childish in some respects, especially when you got Gunn behind the wheel, bringing it away from Snyder's 12A, hard 12A kind of stuff. But it veered a little bit more towards puerile, I think.
Yeah.
And then
that's coming from us.
Yeah. and then it had the sludge stuff in it as well. I'm going to call it like VFX sludge.
Yeah. Broadly speaking, I don't really like the way his films are designed.
Yeah,
I particularly don't like the way his CG is designed.
Okay, yeah.
The CGI sequences, again, really boring.
Yeah.
All of them.
No jeopardy.
Nope.
No weight.
Reminded me of Minecraft.
Yeah, there's a bit in this with a river of like, I don't know what they are, like some kind of atomic substance.
It's explained away in some very brief moment of exposition.
It just looked
not at all memorable.
It's like pick that film Pixels or Minecraft or something. It's like it didn't look like it belonged in a film which had this particular sort of marketing and this. that was a low point, I think.
Yeah,
visually speaking, a real low point.
Yeah.
I didn't mind the way that world was designed. It was just sort of a cabin in the woods style, kind of like blocks prison, I guess. That was fine. It was just a mountain range in the dark. But yeah, then they had this proton river or something, and it was like, why did you need that? What are you doing? Make the film 5 minutes shorter, and just don't have that. It doesn't. You don't need it. But then also there's stuff like set on a beach, which I quite like the look of. Like there's quite a well designed action sequence on that beach.
But even that,
I thought it was better than most.
yeah. But I mean, that's just become a thing, isn't it? Oh, it's like a Gun thing.
It was a gun. It was a
slow
gun
motion
moment.
action sequence with music.
With music, yeah,
and things zipping around, and a central character in the middle of it going.
Yeah, Guardians 3 has that actually.
Yeah, it's just okay.
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
actually, Black Adam had a scene like that.
Did it? Oh, really?
Yeah, near the start with Paint It Black by
Oh,
Rolling
okay.
Stones. I think it's an attempt to add some legitimacy. Slap the Rolling Stones on it.
Yeah. Spend 5 million. On the rights to that.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just I don't know.
Crumbling cities as well. There's
Well,
more,
that's just a
more crumbling cities in this one.
superhero film staple, isn't it?
What are they going to do in the second one? Are they going to be a bigger crumbling city?
I think so.
yeah. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Or space.
Minehead or Milton Keynes, for example.
Jesus Christ,
They
they
can't.
wouldn't.
You know, the gem of the West.
Well, no, and they're
collapsing on itself.
they have to spend too much money stimulating the Milton Keynes economy as well, and it's already flourishing. So there's no
sprawling
need.
metropolis.
Yeah.
No, I know. Yeah, weirdly designed, saccharine, but sporadically earnest enough for me to enjoy it. What I will say, enjoy parts of it. What I will say is that it's pissing the right people off, and that made me admire it more.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
So when I came out of the cinema, I was a bit like indifferent.
Yeah.
Then I went through a phase of thinking, I'm not really sure, and it's pretty obvious from those of to endure this episode, but I think my relationship with Gunn sort of love, but most not hate. Not that.
But
I find it grating.
Yeah.
I find him grating because I think I kind of feel like even though he's earnest, the forces that are pushing him, it's like, look how edgy and risky this is and heartfelt. But you see the CG and you see all that stuff and you think, oh, is it? I don't know. Maybe that's really just too cynical. And I'm never going to be happy with any blockbuster film by that metric. But I don't know. I just think, but as I say,
not without merit.
Absolutely not. And he is an earnest filmmaker, and I like that he takes a compassionate stance towards the themes and ideas, and a critical stance. I mean, it's drawing a lot of flack from various people for various
very current events.
Yeah. So I think I think even though he's kind of distanced himself from that a little bit, I think the film speaks for itself on that, and I admire that about that a great deal.
Yeah,
and I admire the humanitarian message, which is central to Superman.
Yeah.
So yeah, it has gone up a little bit, although it probably doesn't seem that way from the tone of our discussion. But I wouldn't say I disliked it.
Yeah.
I would say that it was like many of Gunn's films. I can see the merit in some of the few really great sequences that his films have, but I get so dismayed with a lot of the other stuff.
Right, yeah, okay. That's fair enough. Yeah, I think it's sort of 2.5 stars for me as well.
I saw that,
I returned to putting stars on stuff. It's worth a watch, I think, but I think you have to be invested in characters and not mind too much about VFX sludge, and you might find something in it that I didn't.
I think a lot of people are just having fun with it.
And
maybe that's something for us to take from it.
Maybe, yeah.
To not be like...
maybe if we hadn't watched Jurassic World right before it, then it would
possibly
have been
that,
right.
yeah. I'd quite like to watch it again in a slightly different circumstances and see if the atmosphere and the people I was with, it impacted it. But
maybe, yeah.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
Questing the cinematic void.
There we have it then.
Yeah.
Enjoyed discussing that. Liked talking about the kind of way it's been received in like with regards to like people's opinions on wokeness. I thought that was quite an interesting way to segue into that film. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. I think I do get quite frustrated when that kind of terminology comes up.
Yeah,
As soon as I hear someone say it, even when I hear conversations, just in day-to-day life, I should probably treat it with a bit more, not necessarily respect, but interest. Because there's probably something in there as to why these opinions are being held that is probably quite genuine.
okay.
It's just, I think the connotations to it to me are so, I just get so fatigued by it that I just get,
No, I know what you mean.
I just go, oh.
Even saying it like with knowing I'm being recorded, it's like there's a slight hesitation.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
What are we doing next week?
What is it?
Friendship.
We literally just decided it. Fucking hell, yes.
Yes. What's his Craig Robinson, is it?
Yeah.
And Paul Rudd.
Kind of an exploration of like male friendship.
Yeah.
But like
suburban America.
It seems to be a kind of apparently it's sort of an excruciatingly funny take on it.
Right, okay. Yeah.
The kind of forced male friendship, male loneliness.
Okay, yeah.
So I've heard nothing but good things.
Yeah, nice.
Rudd, when he's, he's in a lot of shit.
Yeah,
but when he's good, he's good.
Yeah, no, he's a safe pair of hands. We're in the right.
An old Craigie boy in some of his other stuff is really fucking funny. So
yeah, it's funny. I'd like to talk about him a bit because I liked I Think You Should Leave. I do find him slightly annoying.
Right.
And I think there's his manic energy I find a bit much. But in the context of this film, with the themes that you just said, I think maybe it'll be given a bit more. There's a bit more depth to it, and he might rein it back a bit. So curious to see how I find his performance. Actually,
yes, indeed. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We've been in blockbuster territory for quite a while, so I think we said before, but very keen to move away from it for a while.
We're not doing Fantastic Four. Sorry, I really don't want to watch it.
I mean, even if I do, I think once we have one discussion about superhero films, that's it for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Good. Well,
nice.
In the meantime, thank you for getting to the end of another ep.
Thank you.
Always a treat.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
No, it is.
Yeah, you will think this.
Yeah.
We'll see you in the next one. And take it easy.
See you then.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.